This is Abebe from University of Kunduz Faculty of Informatics. So in this selected topics tutorial, we are going to specifically discuss about DHCP. As we discussed on the class, DHCP is the server role that enables the server to dynamically assign IP address to the client. So basically there are two types of assigning IP address to the client. Either you can assign IP address statically for each and every PC, or you can tell the server to dynamically allocate IP address. But this static IP assignment has lots of problems because we have to think about a big organization with thousands of computers. So if that is the case, if you manually input the IP address, that will take time, and then due to this manual input you may make a mistake, so that will be somewhat you will get lots of human error. And the other one is about this IP duplication. Due to human error, we may duplicate the IP address, and then it's so difficult to document this manual IP address. And then if there is a need to modify the IP address of this manual assignment, that will take time, and then it will be difficult to update. So there is a need to have a system that will dynamically assign IP address, and then anytime if we want to modify this IP address, we can tell the server so that the server will automatically update the IP address and then keep that updated IP address on the database. So with the help of DHCP, we can dynamically assign IP address. Doing that, we can ensure the correct configuration, and then this updated information will be automatically stored on the server. There will not be such common network problem like IP address duplication. And then we do have the database that will keep the record of each and every client information together with the IP address. But as you know, it has its own disadvantage. Even the DHCP has its own disadvantage. One of these disadvantages is if the DHCP server fails to provide the IP address to the client, so there will be a problem for the client to access the network resources. They will be out of the network, and then there is a need to have a skilled skill to configure and administrate the DHCP server. So let's have a look at how we can install the DHCP server. But before that, how this DHCP works. So basically, when you install DHCP service on your server, automatically the port 67 on the server will be open, meaning the server is ready to distribute IP address to the client. At that time, all the client, and then the client, there is a port number 68 for the client that they will help to receive IP address from the server. So the IP address, the client machine where this port number 68 open machine will receive IP address from the server, and then when each client receives IP address from the server, they will send back acknowledgement to the server that they receive IP address something 192.168.110 together with the default gateway, DNS, and DHCP, and so on. And then after that, when the server receives this acknowledgement, automatically the server updates its database and then keep this record information, and then send back another information to the client that the IP address will be expired after 8 days or after a month, depending on the configuration. And then this information will let the client to request a new IP address after 8 days. So let's see how we can configure the DHCP server. So as usual, we have to open the server manager, and then we'll go to add roles and features. And then in here, this screen will appear. As usual, we'll select role-based or feature-based installation. We'll click on next, and then we have only one server. Next. So list of roles will appear. So in here, we will select DHCP so that automatically a new dialog will pop up. This will contain the list of feature which is mandatory for the DHCP server. So this mandatory feature we call it feature on demand. So we'll click on add. Next. and then these are the optional features. So if we want, we can install any of the feature, but for now let's continue. So this is the general information that the server will get after installing this DHCP server, and then how the client get the IP address and so on and so forth. So these are some description about the DHCP server. We'll click on next. So these all are the configuration, and then if we agree with all the settings, we can click on install. If not, we can go back and then modify the setting. So now this is the right configuration, so we'll click on install to install the configuration. Probably it will take maybe 5 minutes, so we'll continue after the installation. So after the installation, we will configure the DHCP server. So we are going to pass lots of parameters to configure the DHCP server. Okay, after the installation, we will get this yellow flag, meaning there is a need for configuration. So we'll click on it, and then we'll select complete the DHCP configurations. Normally in this screen we are going to complete the configuration of the DHCP server for this target computer, and then for this we are going to assign the authorized user that will manage the DHCP server. So in this case, the only authorized credential is administrator, so we'll commit it so that the security will apply, so that only the server administrator will manage the network. And then let's see how we can configure this DHCP server. So to configure, we'll go to the tools, and then we'll go to the DHCP, and then this is a DHCP screen. So in here we are going to provide lots of parameters for the DHCP server to work properly. So here we have IP4 and IP6, but we will configure only for IP4. So we are going to create a new scope. So we are going to configure a new scope, so that scope will have lots of parameters. So to configure DHCP, there are lots of parameters, and then this parameter, the first parameter is IP address range, the IP address that the server is going to distribute for the client, the entire IP address including the server IP address. And then the second parameter is IP address to exclude, so that exclude IP address will not be dynamically assigned for any client, so the server administrator can use those IP address for some static IP address assignment. If we want also, we can reserve IP address for a certain machine. So we'll create a new scope in here, DHCP server, maybe computer science department, DHCP server. Next, this is IP address range 192.168.1.1 up to 192.168.1, maybe 100. If you have 80 PC, it's recommended to have at least 100 IP address. So we'll click on next. So these are the IP address range that we want to exclude, so that the server will not dynamically assign this IP address to the client. 192.168.1.1, at least 1.1 should be excluded, because 1.1 is a static IP address of a server, and if we need to exclude some IP address for static assignment, 192.168, maybe 1.3. We'll click on next. So this is a list time, and then after 8 days the client will request a new IP address. So the server will provide IP address for about 8 days, and then after 8th day there is a need for the client to request a new IP address. We click on next, configure now, next. So the default gateway, the server itself, 192.168.1.1. Next, the DNS server, obviously the only server that we have is this 192.168.1.1. So this is our only server. To check whether the DNS is working properly or not, we can type, for example, the server name, so that if the DNS works properly, the server will display the IP address. When we click on resolve, just display IP address means the DNS server is up and running. And then we'll click on next. Next, we don't need to configure this server. Next, finish. So means our server is up and running. So if we want to disable this scope, we'll right click and then deactivate it, or we can click on this red icon. So the IP address is, the DHCP server is disabled, and then we can click and then enable it. So when we click on address pool, this is IP address range and then the IP address that we want to exclude, that we excluded on our setting. And then address list is when the server provide IP address to the client, that client information will be stored in this area. And then if we have some reservation, we can create a reservation right here. So to create a reservation, we'll right click on it and then new reservation. For example, if we want to reserve IP address for the server IP, our server IP is 11, and then we will look for the MAC address of our server and then we'll put it, and when we click on add, 192.168.1.1 will be assigned reserve for the server only. Okay, so this way we can assign we can reserve IP address to the client. So let's see how we can assign IP address to the client. So when the client log into the system, or when the client computer startup, they will automatically request the server and get IP address. We are not going to do anything on the client side. So let's see how the client get IP address. Let's simply start Windows 7 client machine and how that client machine get IP address. Okay, so here we have the client machine. So let's log into this client machine. So they will automatically get IP address from the client, and then to check that IP address, we will open the command prompt. So if you want to check the IP address of your computer, you type ipconfig. Here it says the client get IP address from the domain tsd.com. The IP address is 192.168.1.1.7 with subnet mask and default gateway. So we can go back to the server and then check the leased IP address. Okay, to check, we'll simply right click and then refresh. And then let's check first ipconfig/let it forget the existing IP address, and then we will tell the client to request an IP address. So IP address release will let the client to release the currently configured IP address. So if we want the client to request a new IP address, renew. So ipconfig will display the IP related information. IP release will release the existing configuration, and then IP renew will let the client machine to request for an IP address from the server. So in this case, hopefully the server will have this information about the client. Okay, so the client IP address, the client name, and then when this IP will be expired, so that it will help the server to reassign IP address to the client. So this is what we call it DHCP. So if you have thousands of computers, the DHCP server will take care of the IP address assignment and then this updating and all IP related operations. So thank you very much, and then next tutorial we will see about how we can join this client machine into the server so that the domain users will log into this client machine. Thank you. Bye.